Right now, elections for San Diego Unified use a hybrid model. During the primary, only voters from a candidate's sub-district can cast ballots. In the November general, the candidates compete in an at-large election, campaigning across all of San Diego Unified's 5 sub-districts. Supporters of Measure C hope to change that. They say at-large elections give disproportionate power to the city's white majority and thus marginalize the votes of people of color in certain sub-districts. If passed, the measure would make the November general a by-district election starting in 2022. Sharon Whitehurst Payne is an incumbent board member running for re-election in Sub-District E. In 2016, she took second place in the primary but won in the general. She said she supports Measure C because it would simplify the election process.
My main reason for supporting it has to do with simplification. It's so complicated for folks to understand why we had district only and then citywide.
But her opponent, Lawana Richmond, said Measure C would do more than simplify elections. It would remove financial barriers to campaigning and encourage more community members to run for office. She used the example of campaign mailers to show just how much more it costs to run in an at-large election.
In the primary, I was able to get on a couple of them for a total of like $1,000. For the general election, just to get on one, they wanted $5,000.
Richmond said that ultimately Measure C could help diversify the school board by encouraging more people to run. But outgoing board president John Lee Evans said the current system already promotes diversity while ensuring that candidates represent both the needs of their sub-districts and those of the overall district. Evans, who is voting against Measure C, said a by-district election could encourage board members from more affluent parts of the district to neglect the needs of schools serving more vulnerable student groups.
When I was running, I was accountable to the voters in the entire district, as opposed to, I'll just take my sub-district and make sure we get the resources we need and not pay as much attention to what's going on in the other areas. And I think that's been a benefit, and that is a potential detriment if it were to pass.
Evans does, however, support Measure D, which would change the San Diego City Charter to give the school board power to remove a board member for misconduct or failing to carry out his or her duties. But he said the measure couldn't be used by a majority of the board to oust the political opponent in the minority.
The measure does not allow for an unpopular board member to be removed for some small reason. It has to be very major.
The measure was proposed by San Diego City Council members Chris Cate and Vivian Moreno. If passed, the city charter would be modified so that school board members convicted of crimes or failing to carry out their duties could be removed with a 3/4 vote by the other board members.
But if they felt for whatever reason that a school board member at any time is derelict in their duties, there is a process by which they can remove that school board member absent a recall or a resignation, which we know is very costly and or very difficult to get.
Both measures C and D need a simple majority of the votes to pass. Joe Hong, KPBS News.